Okay, hello and welcome to my channel. This is going to be like the first of a few tutorials that I want to do with this scene that I created over the past, like it was the ArtStation challenge, so 2 months of work outside of my job. Yeah, I wanted to just put some of these substances on Gumroad. I wanted to do some tutorials to help people out, but I was going to wait for the new year to do that. This tutorial is going to be about sub-UVs inside the Niagara system, the new Niagara particle system within Unreal, because when I was looking for it, it took me maybe just longer than I would have liked. I was on tight schedule because it was about to hit the deadline of this small scene for a bit of fun, but it still had a deadline. And basically I wanted to learn how to do sub-UV particle systems inside of Unreal. So I went ahead and I took maybe 3 hours to make this snow system here, a separate snow system that's a little bit closer to the camera, and then another system that sort of just lazily blows off like stuff every now and then. It was all pretty quick, and I haven't really used the particle system, the Niagara system, too much before. I did take a little bit of time to watch videos and learn it, but I hadn't actually used it in practice. So I quickly made this, and based on my previous knowledge with Cascade, there wasn't any sort of huge leaps between the two systems that I could think of. But this video is being made now because I made this scene, and as maybe it goes with an artistic sort of job and artistic, when you do technical artistic sort of things, whereas people might not be that interested in sort of whether the scene looks good or bad. There's some things that people want to learn, and I had someone reach out to me and they wanted to learn how to do multiple sub-UVs inside Niagara. So I just texted them back how to do sub-UVs inside Niagara, but unfortunately it still took them a few more days to work it out. I don't really know how much time they put into the particle system, but I got a text in today and they said that they'd finally figured it out. I didn't get like a thanks. They actually wanted me to prove that I'd done it myself. That's a genuine thing that just happened. So I thought, rather than just send them something to prove that I'd made it, I would make an actual tutorial so that everyone can benefit from knowing how to do this. So it is a sub-UV system, although it's kind of a pointless one. I just wanted to learn how to do sub-UVs. So basically it's a few generic sort of snowy blobs, which was also a point of why would I ever want to do this again? Just to learn how to do sub-UVs that more or less identical to each other and no one would ever notice. So what I made instead was just a quick substance with some numbers on it. I don't have Photoshop at the moment, so I just did it with substance, and hopefully that'll make things a little bit more obvious inside of here to show that it is using multi-sub UVs. Obviously the particles are very, very small, so what we want to do is just find the setting for the scale, which I've decided to put into particle update. I really think I should put it into particle spawn rather than update, because update is based over life and particle spawn is based over the spawn time, as my understanding of it at least. But either way, it's working for me, so I'm going to put that in there. And as you can see, this is definitely using the full range of numbers, and let's just see it inside here. So it is using a sub-UV system, but the settings for a sub-UV system are hidden, or not hidden, but they're scattered across the Niagara user interface sort of thing. So the first setting's probably pretty obvious. It's kind of where, well, firstly you can just type in sub, and then just eventually you'll end up at the sub UV tab, and there it is. And because I did a 2x2 grid, I've entered 2x2 here. So if you had more animation to it, or more frames or whatever, then you would obviously be putting whatever numbers you need in there. But then it got a little bit tricky. Well, this is the part that I was making a mistake on, because I was going straight to particle update, and I was pressing new, and I was pressing sub UV, and I think it's that particle sub UV image index, and basically that was making it change over life rather than, or it was updating it like every frame. Let's just see what happens. It might not work because I've already got it set up. Alright, well, it's broken it there, and let's see if I go to do what I would usually do, which I'll explain again in a moment. So I'm going to put in a ranged float, and I'm going to make that like to 5 or something. No, 3, because I only did, because 0 is 1 as well. I'd really need to slow this down to see that it to see it working. So let's see if I can do that. Basically, things are changing randomly over time, as you can see. Well, I mean, you can barely make that out, but either way, that's not the result that you want. You don't want them changing over time, randomly over time, as kind of unnoticeable as that is, just because it's such a mess. I'll come back to that hopefully when it makes more sense. But yeah, this still frame shows that we're using full range, and that setting was actually in particle spawn. And yeah, it'll be hidden away in the variables here or something like that. But we're going to make a quick one from scratch, because it really does just take 5 seconds. See, this has gotten out of hand, and actually it might be easier to see the particle update effect. So let's just see this. So if I change this to what I just had, or if I undo deleting that, and I apply and compile or whatever, we can look inside the main screen here. You can see how they're basically just flickering now between all of them, which is not the result that I want. It's just like too crazy, because we're making an animation out of this, and for every sort of frame it's picking a random value, and it's just going crazy, and that's definitely not what I wanted. And my mistake, as I say, was just putting it in particle update rather than particle spawn. So particle spawn, particle spawn time. So based on the time that the particle spawns, it's going to pick an image for that texture. So that might become more apparent in a second. So make a new emitter. I'm going to start with a basic fountain emitter, because I think that was the basic one that starts off. I think that was the one that starts off initially from Niagara. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this. I'm going to take a look at my material here. It's basically, it's not fully set up, because it's not got any dynamic colors, or it's not going to fade over life, because I would need to multiply that. So I'll put an extra multiply in, so we can get the fade over life going in, which is kind of default, I think. And what we want to do is go straight down to our render settings, where we are going to grab the material that we've made, and we're going to see what kind of result that gives. If I just pause this, you can see that an individual particle now is the full image, which is definitely not what you want. So again, we'll go down to just the sub-UV settings, which is very, very easy, and we will see that now by putting 2 by 2 in, because we've got 2 by 2 grid of numbers, we're getting all ones. And we want to randomly select a number on spawn time. So we've got particle spawn here, which is spawn time. I'm going to go to sub-UV image, and you can see, but it starts at 0, which in our case is 1. You know, the image number 1 is represented by the 0 in the spawn time. So I can change that to 1, and we'll get our number 2. 2 for image number 3, and 3 for image number 4. And we want to pick that sort of randomly, because if I did 3.5, then it would be 4. If I did 2.5, then it would be 3, because it's basically the same number all the way up until it reaches the next number. So any random values in between are not an issue. And what we want to get is a ranged float over time. So that's going from 0 to 1. So technically here we should be getting images 0 to 1, and basically, but the chances of it spawning at 1 are probably very, very slim, so you're not really going to get any. So if I did that to like 1.1, then you're going to get a little bit more 2's in there, because if it's randomly picking out numbers from 0 to 1.1, then the chances of it being 1 and 1.1 is a lot less than the chance of it being 0 to 1. So if that makes sense, then we would want to go all the way up to 4 to give everything an even chance. On my other one, I actually didn't do that. I just put it up to 3, I think. But if we put it up to 4, then we're going to get an even chance. If we put it down to just 3, we're going to get all the numbers appearing, but the number 4 is going to appear less. Okay, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.